I'm back with my 1977 Chevrolet Corvette. Most of you all probably know me for my video on how to replace or install a passenger mirror if your Corvette didn't come with one. And I've also done the snubber bushing on this guy, all videos that weren't online that I've added. I'm going to add this one just because the Vir Eliminator, which is what this video is going to be about, is a device that a few different companies online. I got mine from Old Air Products, but it is made to eliminate the VIR in the 77 Corvette. VIR was also used in a few other years. It is valve in receiver. It worked okay when it first came out. Worked better with R12, but for those of you who are here because you want to eliminate it, you want to go to 134, this is what I'm going to talk to you about because I just went through all that. Forgive me, this is not going to be me doing it as you watch, but I am going to tell you exactly what you need to do to get to this. Without further ado, let's talk about it. Okay, so parts that are new that I bought for the AC system. We'll start over here. Actually, we'll talk about the entire system and what I replaced and what I didn't replace. Okay, so this is the condenser. I kept the condenser. It is highly recommended that you flush with high pressure air this port. Now this is an odd size, so you might need 2 wrenches. You don't want to torque on this line at all. It'll fracture it or crack it and then you'll have a leak. And then the high pressure line comes out down there, so this line ultimately ends up running to the compressor. The condenser, for those of you who are replacing it, the newer modern ones do work better with 134, but if you're keeping it, that is fine. Just make sure to get all that mineral oil out of it. Otherwise, do not use PAG oil. PAG will not mix with the mineral oil and you will have problems. Okay, so following upstream, I replaced the compressor. This is an R4. It is a new AC Delco model. This R4 compressor shipped without oil, which is what this indicates. The oil that I bought was ester oil because ester can mix with any remnants of R12 that is in the system. It can also mix with any mineral oil that is coating the components that you are worried about it mixing. Okay, so I replaced the entire hose assembly because mine was a little worn from the heat in the 40 years. My headers also were causing a little damage to it, so I got this from Zip Corvette. It was about $120, okay? And then following the hose down, it will normally go to your VIR, which is embedded between the fan blower, the evaporator, which is in here, and your coolant reservoir. Okay, so that is essentially the AC system. Now, step 1, have you and another person remove the hood. But when you remove the hood, make sure to mark where you're removing it. I removed mine on this side, so the hood is over there, and it is marked that way. When I reinstall it, it lines up fine. Okay, step 2. Have an AC tech pull or extract all the freon out of the system. It is, of course, R12 is extremely dangerous to the environment, and you actually don't want to breathe that in either. So, now mine was completely empty from the get-go because my old compressor, the clutch actually blew and the seal was leaking. It was overcharged from another technician who was trying to service it. So I just said, to heck with everything, let's replace it. The only thing I didn't replace was the evaporator and the condenser. Okay, so replaced components today were the compressor, the hose assembly, and then the Vir Eliminator. Altogether about $440. Well worth it. All right, so we've removed the hood, we've extracted the freon. Pull off any part that you are going to replace. To remove the compressor, you've got this bolt here, that's for the slide. Disconnect the compressor wiring. You got one bolt back here for the baffle assembly, and then one bolt down here, which is about that long, and the compressor comes right out. Just slide the hose to the side. Disconnect the hose from the condenser if you are replacing that, and pull it out. And then to get to your Vir Eliminator, which is tucked down there, yes, it is tight. It is actually very easy if you remove the coolant reservoir. The coolant's not going to leak everywhere if you just pull this cap. There are 2 bolts on the inside of the fender wheel well. One right there, one right there, and there is supposed to be one right there. However, I didn't add it back in because it's more than stable with the 2 top bolts. You just undo those, slide this guy right out. Of course, this hose will already be off. Slide this guy out, and you will actually have quite a bit of room to start working on the VIR. The VIR has a few lines that connect just as the Vir Eliminator do. Actually, they all connect right back up. This line goes into the evaporator. Okay, and then the VIR will also have a line going to the high pressure line, which you see is right here. Note that I am no longer using the wiring that was connected to this sight gauge port because the Eliminator came with a new switch, and that wires up the exact same, so there's really nothing to it. So to get all those fittings off, guys, I'm not even going to mess with you. Buy a liquid wrench or something similar and douse the fittings. They won't be too incredibly hard after some of that because there is an O-ring inside them, and then they'll be able to free. Also, this guy helped me a lot with almost everything. I got this at Advanced Auto Parts. It has those great teeth, so I was able to grip those awkwardly sized nuts, which I was not able to find a size for online. So I bought this. It didn't chew it up because it's got that nice shape to it. And if you space it out, you can have it nice and slim, so it's able to break it. Okay, you'll also want one of these wrenches. So these adjustable wrenches are very handy. The Autocraft is not a bad one for the price, of course, because this does not slide super easy. I've had some of these that the slightest amount of pressure and the wheel is turning, and then now you're getting frustrated trying to get that open. Anyway, so with that out, you'll break all those lines on the VIR, and then yes, you will have to crawl underneath the vehicle and access from below. Now, normally if you look down here, you'll notice that there's a kick panel below the VIR, or a splash panel. I ended up just pulling mine off. It looks like this. I ended up just getting rid of it because most people roll without it anyway, and the car is not going to be driven through a whole lot of mud or rain, at least on purpose. So right now I've just got it off, and I think I'm going to leave it off for a while. So you can start to see the high pressure line through here, but I didn't lift up the vehicle at all. And mind you, as you can see, I'm working in pretty confined space. If you had the right side jacked up just even a little bit, look at that. It is easy to access from below. This is the bottom of the Vir Eliminator, but normally the Vir. So that brings me to another point. After you get all those lines disconnected, there is an oil bleed line. That bleed line, which is the smallest line, is also the most able to be bent. So you can bend that and move that around. That's that little line right there. And that is the Eliminator block that comes with the Vir Eliminator kit, which is that giant cylinder, that block, a bunch of O-rings. So that oil bleed line, it is going to plug into the middle of that block, and I will answer a question that nobody answered for me. There will be nothing that line will do but be blocked off, okay? So the two big lines running into this block are the high pressure line and the line that goes to the evaporator. So one goes from the condenser, the other goes to the evaporator. Those will have a purpose. There's a small hole on the inside of the block to allow coolant and, or excuse me, not coolant, but freon and oil to go through. This clamp that holds the Vir Eliminator, note that I have a makeshift bolt in there because the Vir was a lot thinner, so that clamp was able to completely wrap around it and secure it. I went to Lowe's, bought this, and now it's still secure. You want to make sure to reinstall that security because you don't want the bumps and everything taking out your AC system. Oh, so that's pretty much it. I ended up putting my block against the backside of the wheel well, and all these lines were able to bend with a little pressure. And I put the Vir Eliminator, or the accumulator part of that, closer to the blower motor. So altogether, it took me just a few hours, but make sure while you have everything off, wrap your evaporator line that runs from the accumulator, the big line that runs to the top, wrap that really well. I've got some exhaust wrap on because it does have the same thermal insulating property, but you want to insulate that and it'll help you your system cool a lot better. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Altogether, again, this was about $440, and it's converting from R12 to 134. I actually, on Tuesday, it'll arrive. I have a small 10-inch fan because the 10-inch fan will fit right here between this headlight vacuum cylinder, and it'll actually allow for the hood to open and close because it's tucked away over here. I'm going to connect that for that extra idling airflow as the AC is running. I want some extra airflow while it's at a stoplight. That's going to supply it. And the reason I went 10 inches is because with some significant research, bigger fans tend to block some of that airflow through, but the 10 inch is fine, and it also adds for a great auxiliary. And yes, it will fit with the hood open. Okay, so please ask any questions. I made this video for you. I hope it was quick enough. And Mike, I'm signing out.